Thank you, Pooja. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege and honor to host the session on supportive government policy, interventions to drive MSME growth. In this session, we've invited a senior bureaucrat from Government of Maharashtra, Dr. P. Anbalagan. Dr. Anbalagan, IS officer of the 2001 batch belonging to the Maharashtra cadre, has graduated in veterinary medicine and has masters in dairy. Dr. Anbalagan is presently the Chief Executive Officer, MIDC, that is Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, Government of Maharashtra. Sir, first of all, thanks to MIDC for being the state host for the NASSCOM's International SME Conclave 2022. You have been successful in driving the investments for the state of Maharashtra, and I have seen you've done some incredible job during the last 2 years of pandemic. Let me begin with the first question, sir. How is the MSME sector evolved in the past 4 to 5 years in Maharashtra? And what were those policy interventions that catapulted the sector? Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chetan, and my best wishes for all the participants of this conclave. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to NASSCOM to give me the opportunity to be part of this. See, we know basically micro, small and medium enterprises are integral part of the economy. And if you look at Maharashtra, houses close to, I would say, like 48 lakh MSME, which almost corresponds to 8 to 9% of the national figure. And if you, in the last few years, we have seen MSMEs become a larger part of a global value chains. But with we are shifting from dependence on one country. There are certain sectors, particularly sunrise sectors, a lot of MSMEs are coming. Even if you look at 5 years registration with Udayam, particularly for Udyog Aadhar, so close to 17.67 lakh MSMEs have registered so far. And for the COVID hit small businesses, the GOI scheme, like Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, and Maharashtra had availed maximum loans, if you look at that. Close to almost 15,000 crore disbursed to MSME units only under this. You look at at the state government level also, we also intend to strengthen and promote the MSME sector for achieving inclusive industrial growth and promoting employment generation. Even at MIDC level, in another 3 to 4 years, we look at developing at least 50 odd small and medium clusters across the state. Like you take the industry to each and every district. And the state's industrial policy 2019 also has a different value proposition for MSMEs. And whereas the investor limit for small industrial units has been increased up to 50 crore in fixed capital investment, so that more and more units can avail basically incentive schemes. And additional monetary benefits under tariff subsidy, power duty, like electricity duty, and they're also been given to promote MSME across the sectors. And there are also things for particularly green energy initiative, also for effluent treatment and environmentally friendly initiative. There are different verticals where the government is looking at even the details, product development, and also market linkage, R&D support. It's all been given. And as far as non-fiscal incentives are concerned, the government is also supporting with institutional tie-ups, and typically for a sector-specific skill development, and with technology moving towards much higher pedestal. So we also need to upgrade the technology, production process in line with what exactly the scale of production which the parallel, I would say, in Asian giants will do. And workshops are also being conducted in Institute of MSME Entrepreneurs to create awareness and adopt new technologies.
Sure, thank you. I think that gives a brief idea of how the state is progressing. So this gets to the second question that, I mean, if you look at the technology, how is this changing technology landscape being leveraged by MIDC to better the lives of the SMEs, which are your customers?
So we are into new age, Chetan, actually. See, even if you look at the pandemic of this past 2 years, almost, I think March we already completed 2 years. So digital transformation is becoming a crucial survival strategy. Even we look at when we want to maintain the supply chain. So we put up a digital platform within 3 days, where more than a lakh companies got a self-certification. So had it been in another time, lining up at the collector office, lining up at the maybe commissioner office, lining up the MIDC office, so it becomes typically an irritant for very serious business. So secondly, the working from home also has become more like a norm. Even look at Hinjawadi and other places. Still, the people, I think, more than 50% people are work from home. So there are really this pandemic has unleashed sort of new challenges upon the tech community, and particularly you need to rethink what exactly we should be like looking at as far as workplace is concerned, and you should look beyond the geographical boundaries. And technology, because you need to see, even like we always say, when even you run, if you want to think, you run and think. The moment you stop, then there will be 10 people will be ahead of you. So absolutely, then you say technology is at the heart of all these developments, and MIDC too has realized the need to adopt such technologies to adapt to the new changing landscape. And technology intervention, innovation is really like government's thrust area. And I would say the upcoming IT policy, and also the policy which also looks at the sunrise and like techno industries, also looking at this innovation and technology is integral part. And we are going to bring in, I would say, more dynamism into that. And see, while developing and while growing, we are not supposed to leave the very, very integral part of the industry, that is the MSMEs, and we need to handhold them. There are certain examples, even like at MIDC level, we have started a like Mahajobs portal, which tries to bring in like all the skill set across 950, I would say, skill sets. I think spreading across 17 such verticals or sectors. So there, I think close to more than 3 lakh people have registered for employment, and almost more than 3,000 employers have registered. So this is going to bring like maybe digital employment exchange. So we will all conduct, we'll have an HR form. So altogether, how do you hire also? What is the format to hire also? It's changing. So even like selecting the talent also across the sector, and even of course from like unskilled, semi-skilled and skilled, we are using the technology. And now you look at like plug and play. You have like all the new industrial areas are going to have a fiber connectivity. Take like Arik, Aurangabad city. Absolutely no overhead wires you are going to have that. So this you have a like duct for every utility, including fiber connectivity. So the Arik city is going to be operated totally on command and control system, both like the Sendra node and also the Birikin node. So that is where we are also looking at. And in parallel, I think I mentioned like this Mahajobs is going to be a like game changer, particularly providing a different like record skill set. And also it's also a tool to leverage the demographic dividend and also employment. And matchmaking of talent also will help the state to achieve an optimal mix of utilization and boost manufacturing productivity. I think it should unpack the vast and skill-rich talent across the state.
Right. And wonderful. I think, what I would like to touch upon is what is that support needed, sir, from that private sector, to ensure that the MSMEs, reach their true potential. I mean, I understand you speaking about the Maha portal, which is helping. You're trying to, join the dots and make sure you're trying to be proactive, in other words, right? Compared to any other states. However, but what is it that that you would make sure that MSMEs reach their true potential? What is it that your thought is, sir?
So basically, see, if you look at this pandemic, yes, we always say has taught us a great lesson, and particularly the issues with like MSMEs are their size. Particularly, see, when we look at like investment from Japan or maybe Korea, they say they're MSME, but their size is like 200 crore, 300 crore. When we think of our MSME, they're ranging from like micro, they are ranging from 1 lakh capital investment to maybe max. Now we are looking at around 50 crore. And secondly, it's a limited access to finance is a big thing which every MSME follow. Though like at the district level, state level, the SLBCs, DLCCs, district level, the bankers committee, they do operate, but there are still like lot needs to be done. And particularly see areas like MIDC, you have the best of the state infrastructure. So of course, 30 to 40% of the industries are also outside in an industrial cluster or a established industrial park. So they are actually poor state of infrastructure, particularly power, connectivity, and water. And also, if it is like chemical and other things, support infrastructure like effluent treatment system. And secondly, we do have a like institutional structures, but we need to proactively engage with the MSMEs. And state, like Maharashtra being like always a investor and industry friendly, it always tries to remove these bottlenecks and make the investment environment MSME friendly. So particularly, I would say policy coherence in tandem with the changing requirements and demand, and also good governance. And of course, you have a lot of public-private partnerships. You look at like any anchor is coming in electric vehicles. So you like see, we always say like the combustion-based engines have a lot of like parts, maybe into thousands. But if you're coming to like electric vehicle, you're going to less number of parts. So you need to customize, you need to like change, you need to change this particular sector into another mode, because in another, so these are the certain sectors where people need to change. Otherwise, we will be left out and there are new players emerging. So the scale is one thing which we should look at. And second is the technology adaptation, and also the requirement, basically demand based and requirement based technology adaptation, and also sector wise you need to go. So look at electronics, chip manufacturing, PCB. So even we get what 15 to 20% is there, then you look at like LG, you look at Whirlpool, any company, you ask them like they say 15 to 20% we like locally do that, and say 80% are from like either from Taiwan or from Japan or from China. So this is where like we should look at potential sectors and actively engage. And I would say the anchors are the major giants also to look at their skilling, and they're also I would say financing them. There are certain sectors like state is like we have like certain like I would say private equity funds run by DC office, also two funds run by the MIDC. We're also looking at setting up on another like 500 crore private equity fund for innovation and other related I would say them sunrise industries. But they're all like the scale is like you cannot match the requirement. So really the part of the private sector, particularly the anchor units, are going to be very much important. And particularly the private sector associations and enterprises, they should be able to provide information to MSMEs on markets and standards, and also to customize, and also to assist them in R&D and other activities, and also access to technology. And of course, bring them in an innovation platform. That's all going to make really MSME change. You have like in state, of course it is, sorry, all over the country you have a district industry centers which are there like normally they do handhold, they do allow them to get their like industrial like memorandum, they do like operate the incentive schemes, they also do operate some critical infra schemes. But DICs need to move much beyond. See, you look at like trade and commerce and other things, you need like a very good tie-up for marketing. You need to know like where exactly the country of potential. See, if you look at like places like world, it sends material to maybe 50 plus 6 countries. So you need these bigger players to involve MSMEs actively as far as this product standardization is concerned, particularly if FDA or USFA licenses. There, I think people need a lot of hand holding. And if you're also bringing a trademark, and of course you have patent, there also be a lot of like, I would say, the startups which are going to be like unicorns soon. So there also we need, and DACs need to like change to the, I would say, the changing requirement.
Absolutely. I think the entire journey, what I have seen as MIDC is unbelievable. I mean, you supporting right from the startups. I mean, MIDC has been a partner along with NASSCOM for the NASSCOM startup warehouse for past 6 years, and amazing kind of the output which we have seen even in the tech startups. So I think, sir, you have answered my fourth question, which I wanted to ask you, but maybe very specifics if you want to, dwell on. MIDC has been a constant, journey to deliver the value, right, to the industry in Maharashtra. So what are those technical, administrative or procedural changes you have brought in past 3 years, to instill the transformation? Because we can see that the objective here is to attract more and more investments, but obviously there has to be some transformations based on the industry needs. So what are those, if you want to just highlight maybe first 3 or the top 3?
Chetan, see, if you ask me and if I tell my honest answer or reply to this, see, why an investor should come to you? Why an investor to come to me? See, there are like a couple of generic like value propositions which the state offers. Like the state has the best of the industrial ecosystem. The state has the best of the policy support and policy continuity. Despite the change in, like I would say, political leadership, the continuity is there and commitment given is always honored. And the law and order, like what is the status of law and order condition, and I would say the labor union status, how progressive they are with the like a management. These are the certain factors. And of course, the market exercise and port of like I would say departure. I would say like an export. All these 5 are there in Maharashtra. I think we contribute something close to 15% to GDP and 22% to exports. So with all that done with our sister states are like actively engaging with so much of investors, southern giants, northern giants, eastern giants, western giants. So you need to like wake up to that. So make the businessmen and the landing of investment so smooth. so smooth. So you need to have like structural changes. We need to say the approval process. You need to re-look at how the approval process were altogether there. Maybe in 70s, 80s, where you go for. So you are moving from like approval to like, I would say, self-certification, from the renewal to the trust binding, then also self-certification. So really this year 2020 literally like presented a great challenges, and of course it crippled the world with an outbreak of COVID-19. While of course the world continues to recover gradually, industries world over also revisiting their global supply chain and networking alternate business continuity plan, because you cannot like, see, you need to de-risk your business profits. So with the focus on economic recovery and also with features some of the boldest and most impactful investment reforms, Maharashtra has come up with this like magnetic Maharashtra 2.0 like reforms, where like this plug and play concept has come, because an MSME as a sector, it's very difficult to invest in a huge amount for a land and I would say building. So MIDC is also, of course, though it's a like identified sectors, it's a, like just a beginning, humble beginning. Starting from like Butiburi in Nagpur, we are going to set up a like a plug and play for defense and aerospace, electronics, sunrise industries. Also, you can have a thinking of like going for a like bar shells for the electronic industries. So this is a plug and play. You'll have all that. You just come and just take on a, I would say, short-term rentals, maybe short-term lease, and also you own the property maybe after your cash flow improves. So this is one thing, a bold initiative which the government has taken. Secondly, I would say the Mahaparwana. See, the ease of doing business has to be not only with the perception but also the actual happening. So there are 19 to 20 cutting edge permissions which are required for I would say pre-construction and pre-commencement. So these permissions, particularly sparing the approvals which are required normally like environmental clearance, that hardly 3 to 5% of the entire gamut of the like industry, like new industries in a I would say in a year. So the rest of them should be able to start within a day, one. So there I think that's what I was saying, like it's more of like self-certification and a deemed approvals in a like maybe not max more than a month time. So this is what I would say, like ready to move in factories with a like I would say ease of doing business, like Mahaparwana, which is more like an LOI to do a business within 48 hours, and also the Mahajobs portal, which I mentioned. And the state also has come up with a country desk with the relationship managers and the relationship executive, so that like you take the trade bodies and the CGs and of course the bilateral bodies, so that like you improve, bring in a lot of business opportunities for the MSMEs in our state. And with this, I think the state has enjoyed the trust for about not, I would say, the more than 6 decades. And with this all pandemic also in the background, we have done an MOU with 98 companies. 98 companies for the investment of almost worth of almost close to 2 lakh crore, 1.89 precisely, where like countries from like USA, Germany, UK, South Korea, Singapore, Spain, they all lot of people have come, even like lot of investment lots pipeline. Secondly, see, only this particular MOU component is going to generate 3.5 lakh persons like employment. This is directly, I would say, like a direct employment. Of course, if you factor of 5x or maybe 10x is going to be the indirect employment. So it's going to be a phenomenal like number of people going to be engaged. And also like some of the global industry giants like Reliance Life Sciences, TDK, Kinetic Energy, Nextra, Macquarie, Vaisang, Bajaj, they're also been with us in this journey, particularly in this. Secondly, I would say traditionally we emphasize on technology, emerging technologies, and of course Industry 4.0. The state's industrial policy identifies Internet of Things, IoT, waste chaos, embedded technologies, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, cloud computing, of course electric vehicle, electronics. They're all as a focus sectors for investment. So since couple of years, we have rolled out benefits to 100 plus new age fintech startups, solving, I would say, multitude of problems ranging from lending to savings, and also the different payment gateways to insurance. So that's where like MIDC has also been like always directly involved in supporting NASSCOM's startup, of course, warehouse, looking to nurture tech startups. Of course, we need to move on a much bigger scale. I think, Chetan, we have started. Of course, we had a very good response and success, but I think we should scale up to at least minimum 10x or 20x, because looking at only a very smaller vertical may not have, because we need to, if you really want to like play a thrust role in the like South Asia or Southeast Asia, like then of course we need to do a lot of things. And moving forward, the state promises constantly like to strive to improve on all aspects that will help to create an investor-friendly environment, ecosystem, so that you make the business, you do the business in a very friendly manner. And Maharashtra has consistently ensured strong performance. If I look at even the past 2 years, FDI is again a 2.2 lakh crore. Regular investment is another 50, 60. So we are almost crossed 5 lakh crore. And even like we have another 50,000 crore of worth of investments in spreading across around 20 to 25 companies in the pipeline. They're like really in the stage of maturity. See, even like among MOUs, more than 80% have already landed, and we realized. I think like in the coming 10 years, we see Maharashtra grow further in industrial sector and will be truly magnetic state. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Fantastic. I think, thank you, sir. It was great, to get these inputs, and I'm sure, the participants who are hearing us today, they will understand the importance of, looking at Maharashtra as a preferred destination. So once again, thank you, MIDC. Thank you, Dr. Anbalagan, for your time and constant support to NASSCOM, and wish you all the best in your further endeavors at MIDC. Thank you.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you, NASSCOM. Thank you.